time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
And stand by in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal podcast, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan Jasa, and we got Dan Jasa sitting in the wings. But before we get to him, let's take care of some quick business.
Absolutely. Real quick, we'll go through our sponsors that help support us. Ladies and gentlemen, it's fall. Bucks are losing their velvet here in Michigan. For 20% off your order, get to UNJ20 code and use it at buckbaits.com. You'll get 20% off your order. Working on your food plots? Packer Max, Lincoln Roan. You can get $25 off your order if you use the promo code UNJ25. Paul over at JPO Game Calls gets 10% off your order there. UNJ10 for the code. He will be on hopefully in 2 weeks. He's in Colorado right now. And UNJ 2021 gets you 10% off your orders with Wild Seasoning at wildseasoning.com. Got to get that barbecuing in. And Deer Camp Coffee. That's right, folks. We're drinking it. We're drinking the hot brew tonight. UNJ 10 gets you 10% off your order over at deercampcoffee.com.
There you go. Drinking it here in the cabin. Got mine tonight.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's getting to be about that time. People are out shooting. I went to a shoot last week. I'm hearing all this stuff about the outdoors and your arrows. We'll start the second segment off with that.
Okay. I'm good.
And, all this front of center business with more weight in the front, blah, blah, blah. I have no clue. I watch YouTube. Everybody else does. So I figured I'd go ahead, get a hold of somebody that knows all about it. And none other than Dan Jasa.
Dan, what's going on? How you doing tonight, man?
How's it going, guys? Doing good.
Doing good. Well, we'll save all the introductions. We've had you on many times before, so let's just jump into it. Danny's got a lot of questions, and he's right. He's not very knowledgeable. So, man,
you try. You really try, Dan. I try. That's all I get is this. Hey, can you help us out with A to Z on an arrow, please? Because I know hunting season's coming up. You're a target shooter. You're a hunter. Let's start with something basic. Somebody's going out to get a bow, and they want to shoot an arrow and stuff like that, and all of a sudden somebody brings up the word spine. Can you explain spine and what would be the preferred spine you're looking for?
So spine refers to if you were going to take an arrow and it's suspended between two pieces 28 inches apart, and they hang a 2-pound weight from it, and they measure the deflection in inches, and that is what the spine is. So if it's 0.300, that 2-pound weight deflected the arrow 0.300 inches. If it goes 0.400, 0.4 of an inch, that's a 400 spine arrow. So the higher the number, the weaker the spine is, so the more flex you're going to get out of it.
And what does flex do to an arrow when you're shooting it? Is it good, bad, indifferent, what?
For certain poundages, you need to have a stiffer spine so it doesn't flex too much. A little bit of flex is okay. It's not like recurve guys. It's a lot more important to have your spine perfectly right because of the archer's paradox. So when the string actually comes off your finger and it comes out, the arrow will actually flex, and you need to have the spine right so the fletching and everything will clear the riser and not slam into the shelf. So on a modern compound bow, you can get away with a way too stiff arrow a lot easier than you can a way too weak arrow.
Okay, so you're looking at the spine. You want the proper spine, but that's just the beginning of the arrow itself, right? Because then we'll start at the knock. We'll start at the knock and work forward because it's easier that way. Like you get a typical knock on. I know for your target archers, there's pin knocks and then there's regular knocks. Does the knock really matter, or for weight wise? I know lighted knocks tend to have a few more grams to them.
Yeah, so lighted nocks, you're usually around 30 to 40 grains, and a typical nock, you're going to be around maybe 12 to 13 grains, unless on a standard like insert nock. So ones that come on a typical hunting arrow. So yeah, putting that little extra weight in the back can make a difference if you're switching between lighted nocks and non-lighted nocks. The biggest thing with nocks is consistency, nock to nock, and then arrow fit on the string. So you don't want to have a nock that's too tight, and you want to make sure you have a nice nock that is consistent nock to nock on how they're manufactured.
Okay.
I got to imagine going along with that, too, you got to worry about how thick that serving is on your string where your nock actually attaches to the arrow. Because you pointed that out to me one time, that I had a string that may have been served just a little too much, and it was fitting too tight.
Yeah, so that's going to affect arrow flight, too. A lot of times when we see guys that are having tuning issues, it's because they've got a nock fit that's either too tight on the serving, or their D-loop is actually pinched down on the nock itself and causing issues. So proper nock fit is it's the only thing that really attaches your arrow to the string, so it's really, really important. And then making sure everything's square in the back is really important as well.
And I assume you wouldn't want something that's too loose, because you don't need that as you're just about to shoot falling off the string and dry firing your bow.
Now, I like to have my nocks fit where when you clip it on the string, you can actually take the string and twist it side to side, and it's not going to affect the arrow. But I don't want to be able to grab the arrow and wiggle it like this and have the arrow be able to wiggle around enough.
Okay.
So just a nice clean fit, and then you should be able to take the string, like if you are holding your bow and you just pull the string back about an inch and let go, and it just kind of plucks. The arrow should fall off there whenever you do that.
Nice.
Okay.
See?
You're learning something, Dan.
Well, it's just the precautions, and it's information. You hear about all this information out on the web, it's all true. So,
Right. If it's on the web, it's true, right?
Right, exactly. So, okay, the next part is fletching. Now, there's fletching out there that is 2-inch, 4-inch, 3-inch. Any specific reasons as to why you would want to use one over another?
Just different arrow setups require different things. The high-profile blazer type, or let's see if I got me over here, actually have Vane sitting here. Imagine that.
Really?
Like a high-profile Max Hunter, something like this from AAE. Real high-profile. It's only 2 inches, probably 2.2 inches long. On a faster setup, something shooting over 300 feet a second, you're going to get a little bit of extra steering with the higher-profile Vane. But the thing with these is, with the higher profile vanes, you're going to have a lot more noise. So anything that's got a real steep angle to it is going to make more noise. And then you can go with something like a 26 hybrid. This is a very low profile, but it's another half-inch longer. So you still get about the same amount of steering as you get out of that, but it's a lot quieter.
Okay, so there's a little bit of a price to pay depending on height and length.
Yep.
So
what I've found, if your setup's shooting a little bit slower, if you're shooting down in the 260s or something, a longer fletch is going to correct a little bit better than a shorter fletch will. But if you're shooting over 300 feet a second, a high profile vane will help steer a little bit better, because it's catching that high profile faster and creating drag and making it correct quicker.
Okay. So with that being said, when you fletch an arrow or have an arrow fletch, there's straight, helical, and just a little offset. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Now, do you prefer one over the other?
Typically, I'll run mine about a 2-degree offset or helical, just depending on which clamp I have. They're really, if you run an offset clamp or a straight clamp offset a little bit and you do a good job, it's going to put a little bit of helical in the vane.
So that gets your arrow spinning to give you better accuracy.
Yeah, it gives the arrow a little bit of direction. If you get too much helical to it, it'll create a lot more drag downrange. So like when I shoot long distance stuff, I don't want an arrow that is going to have the fletching slowing it down too fast. So that's why I only run like a 2 or maybe 3-degree helical on my arrows.
Okay. So now to the front of the arrow, when we get there, now tips, 85, 100, 125, et cetera, field points, obviously you're adding weight to the arrow. When you put a broadhead on it, it becomes a different game. What do you do? What do you prefer, a mechanical or a solid blade?
Depends. Like if I'm going out west in the state where I have to hunt with a fixed blade, I got to hunt with a fixed blade. But whitetails, I usually use a mechanical. Usually hunting on smaller tracks, so I want something that's going to cut a big hole and it's going to bleed out fast. So, and then I shoot 70 pounds, 29.5, 30-inch draw. So I've got enough kinetic energy that passing through with a big mechanical's never been an issue.
Which we saw the video of that. Check out Dan Jasa on YouTube when he shot a doe with one. So, leads me to the next question. Tuning your broadhead with your arrow to the target. Because maybe it flies a couple inches different than when you shoot a broadhead. How would you go about that?
So, I mean, usually when I start off tuning, I'll start off paper tuning to make sure I'm getting a pretty good hole. But the end goal on a hunting setup is to make sure my broadheads and my field tips are flying the same. So that's basically telling me that the front of the arrow, whenever you put a big broadhead on the front of it or a fixed blade broadhead, you're basically adding a steering component to the front end of the arrow, and you've got steering on the back end of the arrow. So you've got basically a two-wheel drive arrow as opposed to a one-wheel drive arrow. Oh. So it's if you've got any kind of tail right, tail left, tail high, tail low, it's going to come out with the broadhead on, because the broadhead in the front is going to steer the arrow twice as much as just having a fletch on the back. Okay. So if your broadheads are hitting 2 inches left of your field points, you're obviously going to be getting a small little tail right out of your arrow. So I would correct that the way I would trying to correct a tail right through paper. So It's either moving the arrow rest out a little bit or putting a little bit more preload in the right side of the limbs, either with a yoke or shimming or whatever you have to do that way.
Okay, and for those, obviously, moving your rest is not too difficult, so you could actually do that. But definitely see your professional when you want to disassemble your bow or anything like that. So yeah. That leads me to this front of center stuff. We put the arrow together. Now you explain to me this front of center stuff. Why would I want 400 or whatever it is in the front? Why do I need it, or why would I use it?
Well, the extreme FOC stuff is really started gaining a little bit of momentum, and I don't think it's necessarily for the better. Number one thing on killing an animal quick and clean is shot placement. And like I told you the other day, guys that shoot for a living do not shoot extreme front of center. If extreme front of center was more accurate, then they would be doing it because their paycheck depends on every single point they score. So if you look at anyone who's shooting long range stuff, their FOC is probably somewhere between 9 and 13%. And if it was better at 15 to 20%, they would be doing it. So there's a lot of guys that are saying that you're going to get better penetration if you hit bone, if you've got 300 grains in the front and a super, super light arrow in the back. Shot placement is number one, and the most accurate arrow is number one.
It all comes down to you still got to hit what you're shooting at.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like, so, with this front of center stuff, like, I think I measured out my arrow. It's 370 grains for a whitetail, but I'm pretty comfortable with that. I've shot deer with it before. I don't think anything's going to change. But if you're going to shoot, like, a bigger animal, would that be something that you would look into that, like an elk or something?
I mean, I've shot 300 or 400 grain arrows for everything from whitetails to elk to mule deer. Anything in North America, you're going to kill with a 400 grain arrow if the shot's in the right spot.
So there you go. That's, and it really comes down to what you prefer. You can mess around with it. And the reason I got involved in it, because I wanted to mess with it, with arrows. And you can go out out there on internet land and buy extra inserts that give you an extra 100 grains in the front. And you can mess with it yourself at home and just be careful. But,
So just to give you guys a little bit of I did a little bit of research here before we started. I put in my arrow setup in Archer's Advantage just to see what my arrow drop is at 400 grains, and then calculated what it would be with a 600 grain arrow. So my 400 grain arrow, where is mine? Where did it go?
While you're thinking of that, one question comes in from Mark Coleman, who hunts Park County, Indiana, and he's asking, what broadhead would you suggest for an Indiana deer?
Last year I chose to shoot the B3 exoskeleton. The reason I chose that broadhead was because it had a really, really small profile on the front. So if you had any like side winds or anything, you're not going to get a lot of planing out of it. It's got 3 curved blades to it, and the way that the blades actually open, as soon as it hits the animal and the blades start to open, you're immediately cutting. So you're not gonna sacrifice kinetic energy like with some mechanicals. When they open, they take a lot of force to open them. These, as soon as they start moving, they start cutting. And the other reason I picked it is there's no bands, no clips, no nothing. The way they machine the ferrule will actually hold the blade in place.
Nice. What was that? The B3?
B3 exoskeleton 3-blade is what I shot last year. They also make a 2-blade, and then they've got another one that's a Meg this year. It's a little bit bigger cut. They make that in 100 grain and 125 grain 3-blade as well.
Nice. We're looking at the website right now. Oh, I see. Wow, that's kind of nasty looking, dude. Not gonna lie.
With something medieval.
So
belongs on tip of
so
the spear.
here's what I pulled up. So this is on I've got a 60-pound EVL 34, and at 40 yards, I've got 39.8 inches of drop and a drop per yard of 2.1 inches. That's at 285 feet a second. I figured up what it would be with a 600 grain arrow. Click this over here. And I estimated the speed to be around 240, which I think is fairly generous. I think it's probably going to be closer to around that 20 mark. And your total drop at 40 yards is 56 inches and a drop of 2.9 inches per yard. So if you misjudge your yardage with a super, super heavy arrow, you're going to pay for it a lot more than you will with a little faster arrow.
Right.
Yeah, obviously. Okay. So obviously if you're going to mess with it, practice with it, because if you, like Dan just said, if you miss, you're going to pay.
Less forgiving.
and at 40 yards, you're still going to, with a 600 grain arrow, you've got 69.4 foot-pounds of kinetic energy. And with the 400 grain arrow, you're going to have 65.2. So you lose 4 foot-pounds of kinetic energy going from a 400 grain arrow, going from a 600 grain arrow to a 400 grain arrow.
And you lose
which,
that
with a
forgiveness.
whitetail, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right, exactly.
And you're giving up the forgiveness on it. That's the big thing, I think. It really stands out as well, too.
Yeah, listen, for the people that don't shoot a lot.
Right, it's huge.
It's huge, so.
That's another reason to get out and shoot and practice.
Absolutely. Speaking of getting out, Dan is going to be heading to Washington to shoot this weekend in a tournament.
Yep, it's USA Archery Field Nationals. It's my favorite shoot of the year. So fly out tomorrow morning early and be out there for a couple days and shoot.
Well, good luck to you, man.
Well,
Thanks
for jumping on and clearing that all up, and good luck, and keep us posted as to how you do.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right.
You take care, man. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Yep, bye. All right, guys and gals, we're going to take a quick break, step outside. He can only spend a few minutes with us, so hopefully that answers some questions real quick on arrow build and the front and center question that Danny had, because Danny didn't know.
Well, you hear all about it and all this good stuff, and you know what? Come back in the next segment. We'll talk more about it, and
all right,
we'll go from there.
All right, we're going to step outside. We'll take our first break. We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the show, and some good information there on the arrow build. So
absolutely, and you know what? Especially with well, let's get to this first. I'm just drinking that coffee again.
You all right?
Yeah. So, anyways, here you go. Live shot from Newberry, Michigan, where it's 64 degrees and sunny. Does that not sound like fall?
That sounds like we should be in a tree stand.
I tell you what, the buck came in yesterday, and all the velvet was gone.
Nice. He's ready.
No, that stunk, because usually I'd see him in, like the year before, I think, I caught him, but it was all gone in 24 hours. So, Cedars just got a fresh shipment of Deer Camp coffee up there.
Nice.
So
well, if I was up that way, I think I'd stop in and get some.
With a pizza.
There you go.
And also, just found out today that another carrier of Deer Camp coffee is Seasons of Mackinac.
Okay.
In Mackinac City.
Okay.
You can stop there in Mackinac City at Seasons of Mackinac, the place is called, and they now carry Deer Camp coffee.
All right. Also going to give a big shout out to FM 123 up there in Newberry, who carries the show for us as well. So
yeah, so
thank them.
Absolutely. So, but getting back to the arrow build and stuff like that, it kind of worked on it that. It's like you hear about kinetic energy, you hear about front of center, and what do you shoot, and it's just like I still think you got to hit what you're shooting at.
That's the bottom line, whether it's target or whether it's an animal. You
hear that. Well, I want to shoot a fast arrow. Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't hit what you're shooting at, you're gonna miss just as fast.
Right.
And if you don't, And if you're not careful and practice shooting, worst thing you can do is shoot a little high and hit that no man's land on the deer itself, which would not be a good thing. But yeah, so I thought call up Dan, get him on the show. Wish he could have stayed longer, but it is what it is. Got the information.
He's getting ready to take a flight. He's heading out.
I know, but that's fine.
He took 15 minutes with us. Actually, almost 20, so that's good.
So that was good. But yeah, any questions, get on over. Hit us up. We'll get Dan. What was the cost on those X03 Broadheads? Give me a second and we'll find it out.
I think it was $45
for three. I think is what it was. Yeah, so
pretty much standard across the board now. Seems like everything's $40 to $50.
Anywhere from $40 to $60. Yeah. Depending on what you're looking for. And are you going to shoot a fixed blade this year? Or are you going to shoot a mechanical? Like he said, some states require you shoot a fixed.
Right.
So it's one of those things.
Another great point. Make sure you know what equipment's allowed and not allowed, and if you're going out of state.
Well, that's it too, right? Because some you're not allowed to have lights on your site.
Right.
So definitely check out
no electronics.
Yep. So, but yeah, so it was awesome. And this past weekend, I got to go to the Sunrise Archery shoot, and
you got some pictures there you want to
show? I got a couple pictures. Not many, because I was by myself.
We'll put that thing up full screen.
I will. Give me a second.
All right, here we go. So tell me a story here, because
I'm going to. So
I was laid up in bed.
Yes. I tell you what, this weekend here in Michigan was the R100 and Sunrise Archery at Land O'Lakes, their shoot weekend as well. And this weekend was the weekend we had heat warnings. So why not go shoot a bow out in the woods?
How was that?
It was very humid.
Did you melt?
You definitely sweated. And
how were the bugs?
Extraordinary.
I bet.
They, besides the thermocell and the spray, you'd be carried away with them.
Okay.
So even Derek fogged the area around the specialty shoot where they were at. They were so bad. And he said they were worse on Saturday than they were on Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? So last Thursday I went over, I talked with Derek, got my Evo set up, my EVL, and I went with something, I went all new this year. I'm actually using the rest that is, and I forgot to take a picture of it, that is limb driven, which connects down to the yoke down at the bottom, just above the cam.
Okay.
And that is really cool. I'm just starting to use it. I've only shot it this last couple days, but it was...
How did you like that sling that we got at TAC?
Okay.
Uh-oh. Is there a story here?
No. It's one of those things that it's like, I saw him put it on, but then I remembered, go to the website and look at the videos they have.
You took you a while to put it on.
Actually, it didn't.
Once you finally figured out there's a video to show you.
Watch the video, and it's like, okay, and you do it, and
it works.
It went right on.
Okay.
And I love that sling. I am not going to lie. That thing was, when you were walking around the course and you had your weight or you're just, yeah, it was awesome. That sling by Jacked, J-A-K-T. Awesome. But yeah, it was good. I'm using a three pin slider sight.
Is that purple?
It's purple in the sun.
Okay.
But it's white.
It's white?
It's white. I had to look at this picture again. I'm like, wait a second. That's...
Okay.
I could have swore it was purple.
All right.
Or white, and it looked purple. I'm like, okay. And then I got my Vortex binoculars, but...
How'd you like those?
Oh, can't say nothing wrong with Vortex.
No, I love my Vortex gear.
And I'm going with the 2-bar system. 12-inch in the front, 8-inch off the side. Those are AAE, the Western series.
Okay.
I think you have this.
Yep, that's what I'm running on mine. I love them.
I'm running them this year. I haven't messed with any of the weights yet. I might lighten it up a little bit, but 4 arrows, we had it shooting through paper straight.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, it was a matter of two twists of the string, and I think he messed with the rest a little bit, and then on the fourth one it was
so how long did it take you to get on dialed in? 20 yards, 30 yards, what have you?
Okay, so I was like, man, I got to get this thing dialed in before I get to I wanted it dialed in before I got to the practice range there. You know what, I got up at 10 yards, and I shot an arrow, and I was high, and I just adjusted it down a little bit, and probably within 6 arrows, I was to where I was on where I wanted to be, and then the next 3 were a nice tight.
Gotcha.
So at 20, I was good. I said, okay. So then I said, okay, what's next? So then I went to 40 yards.
Okay.
Because I used the 20 and the 40 to set my tape.
Gotcha.
And I was on the target. I went to the range that Sunday morning. I verified my 40, and then I kind of measured it out with a paper clip, very professional, and picked out the right tape. I did notice on the tapes that if I would have known the speed of my arrow, I probably could have picked the right tape, which wasn't on my other site. But
you should have said something. I got the chronograph.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it, and so I put a tape on it, and then I headed out to the woods, and I only got one picture because I was by myself, and I was kind of cruising along and met up some guys, and they said, hey, go ahead, you're a single. I'm like, okay. Overall, the course this year was really good.
Yeah.
I thought the only downside was a little bit of a confusion on a couple of, do I make a right here, or do I make a left, or where's my next target?
Gotcha.
Like it happened last year to us.
Right.
Yep. So, everything was a decently long course, 40, 45, 50. I think there was 120, and it was a nice day. It was hot. I was sweating. Got done with that and had my shoot, but it was overall a great experience of another 3D shoot, and Land O'Lakes did a heck of a job. I
wish I could have went, man. I jacked my back up bad. I was moving some furniture around by myself, which was not smart, and so I don't think I could have pulled my bow back.
That would not have been good. You'd have been in some serious pain.
So, no, I laid low for the weekend, took it easy, and that's that. So, got a question here. Mark Coleman, he says, would you ever reuse a broadhead or arrow once killing a deer? I have, actually. Arrow, yeah, as long as the arrow's clean, I wouldn't have any problem with it. It depends on, the broadhead. If I've got something that's not beat up, banged up, been in the dirt, doesn't have any chips in it, I'm going to stick it back in my quiver. I'll use it as a backup if I had to. I wouldn't use it as a primary. So, he said the live feed keeps skipping. Yeah, it looks like we're having a few issues tonight, actually, that our live feed is actually dropping some frames here and there.
Going in and out today.
So I don't know what's going on with that.
So, Mark Coleman, a question back at you while you're doing that. Are you shooting a fixed blade this year, or are you going to be shooting a mechanical?
And he says he's enjoying some deer camp coffee as well tonight.
That's awesome. Gotta like that.
What about you, Danny? You ever use a broadhead again? Or you throw it in your quiver as a backup?
Yes. It's like, okay, I shot that one. Move it to the back of the row and get a fresh one.
Yeah.
And then I shoot mechanicals typically, so like the G5s ones, I'd make sure that the little ring is still set, or I do shoot aftershocks as well. You got to make sure the rubber band is back on and in proper condition. You don't want to, it blows open the first time, so got to make a new one anyways. Yeah, no, it's just a rotation thing. And then, like this year, I'm really looking at a different broadhead to see what's out there. I'm thinking about going to a fixed blade and going with that.
Okay.
So
that's what I use, fixed.
Right, you use the fixed blade. So I was thinking about going to a fixed blade. Not sure which one yet. There's a bunch out on the market, but what happens is that's why it was important that I wanted to get that question to Dan of how to tune your broadhead to your field point.
Mm-hmm.
And really simply, if you shoot, make sure you shoot your field point and then your broadhead, because all it might take is that adjustment of your rest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very minor. I mean, I've seen some videos where it's just a little bit of a touch and they shoot pretty close. So definitely want to get that tuned in. But here in Michigan, it's getting close. Next weekend is youth season.
What?
The 12th and 13th, right?
Well, today's just the 1st, so that's going to be a week.
Well, a week from...
That's right, today's Wednesday, man. I'm confused. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, right.
So
I'll tell you what, let's take our next break. We step outside real quick. We come back, we'll continue the conversation here and see where it leads. So
absolutely.
We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. Third segment of the show.
You know what? Third segment of the show. We talked in the beginning, obviously, of our supporters. And I wanted to announce, I stopped at deer camp on my way home today from work. And he said, go ahead and announce it. But today, moments ago, they launched their new website, deercampstore.com. So they have a new website you can go check out. They got a whole bunch of different things now on the website. It's new. It's fresh. So go over there, check it out. Go do some shopping. Get some coffee. Check out the blueberry blend or the porter or the stout. We also talked about future ideas that he's got. He's definitely got some in the hopper for some mixes coming up, so that'll be cool. Also, a week from Friday is the beginning of Woods and Water here in Michigan.
Should be the first big show that we've got coming here to Michigan since this COVID stuff. So hopefully we have a stellar blowout weekend.
Right, exactly. So get on over there. So at Woods and Water, they are going to have a booth with Henry's.
We're going to be there Saturday?
We're going to be there. I think I'm going to go out there Friday and Saturday.
Okay, I'll be there Saturday.
Yeah, you'll be there Saturday. Also, JPL Game Calls is going to be there as well.
Okay.
Just so you know, folks, if you get to Woods and Water, Deer Camp is going to be running their specials that they have on their scents. 3 for $20. Everything is covered except for the Estrus Max.
Okay.
That's $10 a bottle. And I've done a video on the backpack that he sells. Typically it's $40. He's going to have a show special for $20. It's a great general use backpack. I mean, literally, you can put 50 pounds of corn in it if you wanted to and run around the woods. Yeah, come on out. We'll be there, like Mike said. I think I'll be there Friday, Saturday. He'll be there with me Saturday. Come on out, man. Get outdoors. Get that.
The weather's changing. I mean, here in 2 days, you can feel it in the air. This morning when I got up to go to work, I had to turn the heater on in my Jeep just a little bit, just to knock a little bit of chill off. I'm not saying it was cold, but there was just...
No.
I was wearing a T-shirt, It's just a little chill.
It's getting to be that time. So Mark Coleman is a fixed blade guy.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go. So, I just... Man, after this weekend, I think I'm ready for a weather change.
Yeah, it's been hotter and blue blazes up here, man. It's been terrible. Actually, I got burnt pretty good the last 2 weekends in a row. I'm peeling like a snake right now. I got blistered, so
that scares me.
Yeah. Kind of getting back to arrows a little bit. You running the same arrows last year? You got anything new? You refletching anything? What are you doing?
I am running the exact same arrow I am running that I did last year.
Okay.
That's the Hunter XT.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine are cut at 27 inches. And they come out at 260 grains.
Okay.
When I add the 100 grain tip, obviously it becomes 360. And then when I add a lighted knock, it adds about 14. It comes up to 374. Total.
Okay. All right.
Now I did pick up some more lighted knocks. So hopefully I will be zinging those.
Did you weigh every arrow after you got done with it and put it on scale to see how
yes,
close
I did.
you were? What's the tolerance?
It was pretty close. Within, like they said, I think these are a hundredth, and they were.
Mm-hmm.
I weighed one, and it was 14 over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, uh-oh, what's wrong? And it took me a minute, and I couldn't figure it out. Then I looked, and I had a lighted knock on it.
There you go.
It took me forever. I'm like, wait a minute, these are the exact. I mean,
well, but I'm talking like when you got done building it.
Yep.
When you were completely done, did you take like your hunting setup and you weigh each one?
260 and 260, 260.5, 260. They're all in the 260 range.
Okay, 260 or 360?
260 without the 100 grain.
Without,
tip.
Okay, without. But
yep.
Even when you put the tip on, did you weigh?
Yeah,
it again?
yep. They all came in at 360-ish. Except the ones that had lighted knocks, then those were like 370s.
Okay. I just wondered what the tolerance with everything on it.
Yep. And yours are only cut a quarter inch longer than mine, I think.
Are they?
I think. Because our draw links are only a quarter apart.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to run this year.
I tell you what, I forgot to bring them over, but I got your arrows for you. So.
Good deal.
The arrows that...
Are those already cut?
Nope.
They're not, because I started to say it'd be a quarter inch short.
Nope.
They're unfletched too.
Yep.
Good. I get to build some arrows.
You get to build some arrows any way you want it. Are you two going to grow beards for hunting?
I grow a beard about every day.
That would not be a good sight there, Mark Coleman. That ain't happening. I tried that. If you go back to 2 ATA shows ago, I think it was the year before the last that we were actually there, so 3 maybe. I tried. Yeah, no, it's overrated for me.
You remember right after ATA that year, I didn't shave until after turkey season.
Yep,
and I had a 5-month growth. If you go back to April pictures that we got on our Facebook page on Up North Journal, April of 2019, I looked like Grizzly Adams.
You did.
It was nasty, and that's when we got eat up by ticks. And I come home and
that's right.
I shaved my head and I shaved my face.
That was something. I'm not gonna lie. We sat under those pine trees.
Yep.
Oh my God, what a mistake.
You dialing back to get that pick?
I'm trying. Give me a second here.
Yeah, you got to go back a little bit. That was that would have been 2019. He's scrolling back, and there it is, right there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, click that baby full. Yeah, that was a 5-month growth right there. That's about as much as you're going to see on me, and I don't think you'll see that anymore. Not for a long time.
No, that ain't happening. I tried previous. No, wasn't even there. It was gone.
Yeah. So
Mark Coleman wants to know. See, I'm not updating on my feed now. So, what are your thoughts around crossbow bolt? Okay, so
that's his ballpark.
Dan wasn't on long enough for me to get there, so I want to ask him about that as well. I don't know if it's necessarily the same thing, same way. I know you're dealing with a lot shorter arrow, a lot stiffer arrow. Bolt. Thank you. And I got to ask him. I just typically take the bolt, put my head on it, shoot it, and see where it's at, tune it in, and then go from there. But I don't hear people messing it with as much as they do a regular bolt.
No. There, is the type of knock that goes on, whether it's a half moon or what have you. Beyond that, it's the broadhead you put on the front of it and the kind you pick to shoot, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
Pretty self-explanatory. I mean, they're
it's one of those things, especially with a crossbow. Typically, once you get a crossbow set in and set up, and you don't change bolts or broadheads, you're pretty consistent.
Well, let's chase a rabbit here just for a minute. And I don't...
Well, first off, you're now the caveman, and I'm baby.
Okay. Grizzly Adams, I'll take that. Typically, and I don't want to throw anybody into a stereotypical box, but when I look at crossbows and I look at compound bows, most of the guys I think that shoot compound, whether it be for competition or for hunting, are extremely anal about their setup. I mean, from colors to gear to the whole 9 yards. I know I am. I want everything to be just a certain way. When it comes to crossbow, I don't want to say about everybody, but I think the guys that typically shoot crossbows, number one, they shoot them for late season like you do because of the weather, and it's just harder to pull back a bow in the dead of winter. Gives you another opportunity to get out. Or it could be due to an injury, or it's due to just specifically maybe age and you can't pull a bow back anymore. And people like that typically, I think, are just, in that I want to get out, I want to, have another opportunity to shoot a deer, and that's really all it's about. It's I don't think they're quite as anal, because I know guys that shoot, even if they're just hunters and they're not a target shooter, they're still very specific about what their setup is.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Okay, so
what do you think about that?
I don't think you're wrong, and here's why. When you go to a 3D shoot,
mm-hmm.
You're talking about vertical bows shooting the 3D courses.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they don't have a crossbow range set up.
Right.
So a friend of mine, I talked about it on the show a couple weeks back, tried to bring in the crossbow people.
Mm-hmm.
Set up a special range for them, only crossbows. They had, I think it was 5 targets, 5 different ranges, and they had nobody show up.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And we talked about it, and I said, look, one, it was hot,
mm-hmm.
and 2, it's August.
And guys don't practice with their crossbows like guys with their bows do.
Okay, that's where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave them for instance. I said, look, when we did our shows, when we did the Bass Pros and the Cabela's, the Classics, and that, and if it was nice outside, there was nobody in the store.
Right.
So but I think you're right. I think what they do is they go
their backyard.
They shoot 20 yards. They're not as anal about it because once they're sighted in,
it's no fuss, no muss.
It's basically point and shoot. It's pretty close to a gun.
Yep.
You know. Now, obviously, you drop your crossbow or do something like that, you better shoot it again.
Right.
But, I don't want to say you're right, but it takes less practice to get that better.
I think
like,
so.
you're, like, come gun season. You pull out the gun, you go to the range.
Shoot it, make sure it's on.
You shoot it, and if it's on, what do you usually do? Oh, shoot a couple more shots and we'll call it a day.
Yep.
Same thing with the crossbow.
Typically, you shouldn't do that, but I will say I used to shoot at the range a lot more with my rifle than I do now, or my pistols. But ammo has become harder to get, and it's also become a lot more expensive to shoot.
I was over at Dunham's on Tuesday. Wait a second. Today's Wednesday. And it was last week. And I walked up, and they had 3 boxes of 9mm.
3 boxes.
Yep.
I'm surprised there was any.
Bingo! So I bought them all.
Right.
I had a 3-box limit. 100 rounds, $50.
That's not a bad price.
From what I'm hearing, that's not a bad price.
Because right now I've seen 50 count boxes going for about 40. They were on sale, $40. It was 80 cents a round.
So the 40s they had, I couldn't buy them because I already had was 50 rounds for $30.
60 cents a round. Okay.
So, and I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
The Dunhams in Fenton had a whole bunch of ammo.
Really?
Not as much. They only had 9, 38, and 40. And a dozen boxes in total. They had of that, and they pull it off to the side, and they tell you 3 boxes only.
Right.
But 223 shotgun, everything else, their shelves were packed.
Somebody online in Ohio, I saw a post this week talking about ammo. We'll chase this here for just a second before we go to our last break. 16 gauge high brass birdshot was $30 a box.
You found 16 gauge?
Well, number one, yeah, but $30 a box, and I thought that sounds expensive to me for just birdshot. But then I got thinking, okay, it's high brass and it's 16 gauge.
That makes sense.
Is that about the going price or not? I don't know.
Because I think
I haven't bought 16 gauge in probably 30 years.
I think if I remember right, don't quote me on this. It used to be, and I'm going to quote a 20 gauge price for a box. I think of 25 was $10. It's now 19 or 20.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Yeah, but so let's go to our last break, and we got a couple questions I see waiting.
All right. Well, step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. Chasing a few rabbits along the way here towards the end. Talked a little bit about arrow building here in the first segment. Danny shoot the second segment, and just trying to wrap up a few little loose ends here on a pre-Labor Day holiday coming up here. You know, everybody's getting ready, getting out in the woods. We got early goose season. We got evidently the youth season's coming up, and I didn't even know that. We got Michigan elk season that's actually started off as well. With that in mind, you got anything going special? I mean, it's the last big hoorah for the summer. Have you got plans for the weekend? You going up north? You getting on the water?
It's going to be a nice, quiet weekend. I'm not going to go up north. I'm going to stay down here probably. I'd be the only one going, so it's like, kind of a long run for
not.
And the work I wanted to do is not a one-person work, so it's like, okay, I get that. I'm not going to go up.
What do you got to do?
I got to build a stand. I want to build another stand.
You need to get a hold of me sometime. I got a free weekend.
And
go up.
But no, it's going to be a nice, quiet weekend, and we'll see where things go. I know my daughters. I know one's off. The other one's got to work half a weekend. So
okay.
We'll see. Well, what about you?
Friday morning, I'm hoping to try to make an appointment to get my bow set up for season, my new one. Then probably going to do a little kayaking that afternoon and evening, and celebrating a birthday on Saturday, and then not mine. Then Sunday after the birthday party, or Saturday after the birthday party, we may head up north to do some kayaking for the weekend. I don't know yet. And then Monday I might go out and see my mom if she's home. I don't know if she'll be in town or not.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
4-day weekend for me. Woo!
Yeah, it's going to be I'm taking Friday too, I think.
Yeah, I am too. I have not been out on the water or in the camper. It's been 3 weeks since we've done anything. So.
Oh, okay.
Been busy with work. A lot of overtime the last couple of weeks. And a lot of heat.
Yes.
So.
Well, plus you had some things going around in the city. A couple events. And
Yep.
Got one coming up. That's next weekend, right?
Yes. Yep. Next Friday night.
Okay, same weekend as Woods and Water.
Yep. That's why I can't go Friday.
Right. Gotcha. Well, maybe I'll go and see you and make faces at you while you produce a show.
You can do that. I'll be in the truck anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, just look for that guy that's peeking in the windows.
Yeah, okay.
Question: does super hot weather affect your fletching? Does super hot weather affect your fetching, as it's spelled? I don't know. I'd get kind of
fetching. I don't fetch anytime.
Right? Do they become very soft or cold weather and very rigid? Doesn't matter. You know,
I've not really paid much attention to it because I don't shoot in really cold weather.
So that leads me to: do you shoot feathers or vanes?
Yeah.
So feathers are more affected by elements than vanes would be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as Dan showed us in the first segment, the high profile is a more stiffer one, where the low profile is not. And it also, another thing that I saw was the longer the fletching.
You know what? You just said something that made me think.
Okay, let me finish this up before I forget it.
Go ahead.
Like, I'm shooting a 4-inch fletch on my target arrows and a 3-inch fletch on my hunting arrow. Now, the 4-inch gets you more surface area to get that spinning quicker, so you can be more accurate. My theory, and I've heard that. More surface area to catch the vein. Now, whether you use 3 vanes or 4 vanes, that's a whole nother different story.
That's a whole nother paradox. Okay, so my hunting arrow, I got a shield cut on this fletching here. It's fairly stiff. Back in the day, this is one of the kids' arrows actually from way back when, and it's got a longer fletch on it, and it's a lot less stiff, little thinner. And I remember at some point seeing some arrows that my dad had, and I may still have them even here. I don't know if I got them stuck away or something, but I remember the fletchings, the longer fletchings. They were wrinkled. They were really wrinkled up bad, and I don't know if that was due to age, if that was due to they got hot and wrinkled.
I think that's age.
You know, they
curl.
Yeah, they weren't formed correctly. They were misformed. So I think that might be due more to age, but I do know that they were thinner and they deformed pretty quickly.
And they become brittle.
Do they? Okay.
Yes, because I had some older ones that were curling, and basically if you just grabbed them, they just
crumble.
They crumble.
And I wonder if maybe that's just material too. I mean, I don't know about now, but I mean this is one of the kids.
Yeah, that's one of the kids' bolts.
Yeah,
arrows.
Yeah, it's about the size of a bolt. This probably would have been, I don't know, man. This arrow here has got to be at least 10 years old, maybe more. If it was my daughter's, my youngest daughter, this is probably a 8 to 10 year old arrow. And honestly, I think it's a lot older. This might have come off of Mikey or Jake's rig, which could be anywhere from 10 to 15 years old. So it's still in pretty good shape.
It is. You can shoot that. The kids or a light poundage bow can shoot that right now.
Yeah, Ben could shoot that.
Yeah.
So
Tom Gensel saved money today on goose season.
Oh, he didn't shoot anything.
He didn't pull the trigger. You are absolutely correct. Mark Coleman, steal of the week at Dunham's, had a 350 executioner blind, was originally 190, got it for 99.
There you go.
And he's going to go to the farm this weekend to safely check 3 stands, mow food plots, and pull trail cam card.
There you go.
I on my trail cam that I'm on the one that I'm using cellular, I'm not seeing anything promising.
Somebody was asking me this week about trail cameras and what they're seeing and deer movement. Everything I've seen posted online right now it seems to be a lot of nighttime photos of bucks. I'm not saying they're going nocturnal, but I think they're moving more now because of the heat.
I think it has 100% to do with heat.
I think it's somebody asked me, it's like, well, do you think it's heat or do you think they're going? I said they're not going nocturnal. I said I think they're moving when it's cool.
I think it just becomes a matter of heat and humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I know this past week we had a full moon.
Yes, we did.
And at 2 o'clock in the morning,
yep,
you could see plain as day practically out there. So if it's cooler, they were definitely moving.
And I do think August was a blue moon, so 2 full moons in a month.
Okay. So I totally agree with that. And as I watch the deer in the backyard, they're starting to put on their winter coats slowly, one leg at a time. And then I think you're right. I think it's just a matter of they just are not moving during the day. They'll move slight,
mm-hmm,
and limited. But yeah, if they don't have to, they're just going to go eat and sit back down.
Well, I'll tell you what, we just about run out of gas here for tonight.
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to be back on Thursday,
Yep,
correct?
we're going to move back
to our normal
Thursday night show. And next week, we hope to talk to Derek from Sunrise Archery. He's going to try to get out of the store a little bit early. And then following week, Paul from JPO Game Calls. He's in he was supposed to be on tonight, but he's in Colorado on a horse backpacking for elk.
Nice.
I was texting him. He goes, they were 3 hours from getting the horses.
Wow.
I said, well, be safe, obviously.
Very cool.
And at the end of the month, for our Yamaha person, I have Joe Okada coming on, who it will be, at that time, will be a week away from going to New York for the championship.
Nice.
So, yeah, so it's going to be, we're going to have somebody pretty much every month, every show we'll have an interview.
Every month. Hopefully we have somebody every month.
Right? And that'll lead us into October, and who knows what October will bring.
Yeah, I know. I'm right now, every weekend I've got is booked up until the first weekend of October.
Pretty much.
And first of October is on
a Friday.
It's on a Friday. Am I going to be in the woods that weekend? It's going to be weather dependent, tell you the truth.
I will be leaving that Saturday.
You are going to go for sure.
I'm gone for a week.
Okay.
This guy's checking out.
You're checking out. What are you checking out?
I'm going to check. Woods? I'm going to check out the woods. Hopefully. Oh, I was selected to get a doe permit.
What? You got a doe permit in your area?
Yes.
Is that good for archery, rifle, anything?
Yes.
All right.
If it's brown,
look at you.
I'm killing it.
Somebody's putting some meat in the freezer this year.
I'm going to think about this long. Yes. if it
little Susie Q's going home.
Right? So, stay tuned. I think my brother's going to go with me, so whoever else will be up that week. We're trying to plan it between two family weddings.
That ought to be fun.
Obviously, Kelly's going to get married here middle of September.
Yep.
And then my cousin, who planned his wedding in October.
Well, that was bad.
Well, it was bad last year, but it got canceled to this year. So he had a year full of so anyways, so I'm going to shoot a doe.
Well, I'll tell you what, for those of you on the live stream, it looks like we've had some dropouts tonight on the live stream, and they've come back in. I don't know what's going on. We've had a lot of storms here this week. It's tore up some stuff, not here directly, but I think that might have a little bit to do with it. I hope that's what it is. I hope we've had good luck with this company since we've moved with our internet connection. So I'm hoping that...
Tom Gensel, is that what you're shooting currently?
What's that?
Double X75 2117.
Wow, that's a flash from the past.
Right.
5-inch vanes.
Right.
Well, those were Eastern game getters, I think.
Well, there was double X75s and game getters. Okay. The high and low ends.
Okay.
And bean and corn harvest have started down there. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to lose their hiding spots.
Up here, farmers up here don't really gather until late. Sometimes there'll be snow on the ground when they gather. They don't send their product to the co-ops, to the dryers to pull the moisture out of them. So
venison on a stick, right?
Won't be long. The leaves will be changing. Hopefully, blood red.
Mark, it's been 10 years. I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was 10 years since we've been able to shoot does.
It was so bad. First time he hunted at my place, he had doe walk right underneath him, and he forgot to shoot because he forgot he could shoot does.
Exactly.
That's the truth.
That is 100% truth. Not gonna lie. I watched her come in, and then it hit me that I could actually shoot her.
When it was too late.
But yeah, so everybody be safe out there, obviously.
Absolutely. So get out there if you can. Get out in the woods. It's going to be a while before I get out. I got to get my bow set up, like I said. Hopefully we can talk about that with Derek next week a little bit, if I can get it in and get it done. We'll talk to him about getting bows set up, things you should do or you shouldn't do. Leave it to the professionals to get ready for archery season. It's not going to be long.
No. And some states have already kicked off, so.
Absolutely. So that'll do it for us this week, folks. So we'll talk to Derek next week, hopefully, if everything goes well. If you're on the podcast or on the live stream watching tonight, make sure you go over, give us a like, follow, share, and share the show for us. If you would, if you're listening to the podcast over on iTunes, stop over and give us a review. That helps us and helps the people who support us. And next week, Thursday night,
7:30, we're back on our new normal Thursday night show.
New normal.
Yeah. Right.
So we'll be there 7:30 if everything goes well. And y'all take care. Have fun this weekend. Y'all be safe out there. Don't do anything that might jeopardize your hunting season. So y'all take care, and we'll see y'all next week.
This episode was brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe. Until next week on the Up North Journal.